Yo, it's me. Still don't have a phone holder to hold my phone. Been a struggle. I'm under a lot of psychological attack. My whole house is. Ever since this false arrest, it's just been a nightmare. It's ripping everything apart in my family. What wasn't great to start with is really not good at all now. Dang, this thing's fuzzy looking. So, as I've said before, all I gotta do is just shut my mouth at home. And then I'd wake up 20 years down the road, if the world lasts that long, and it's not going to, and that would have been 20 years of my life spent not being loved, not being cared for. The question was posed by Rod. What's the purpose of this program? Many, many purposes. What people in America don't understand right now is, and they've been telling you for 30 years, that the same programs the CIA, the NSA, and the DOD have been using in other countries to topple regimes, those same weapons and techniques are being used on the American public. They're being used on us. If you listen to Robert F. Kennedy, he'll tell you about, I think it was Sirhan Sirhan that assassinated his uncle. They're like, well, I don't think he did it. And then he says he didn't do it because he was a victim of the MK Ultra program. He has no memory of shooting Robert F. Kennedy's, was it dad or uncle? He didn't shoot John F. Kennedy, he shot Bobby Kennedy. He has no memory of that whole event at all. MK Ultra, you know that, I mean, they didn't shut it down in 1980. When all the disclosures came out, they didn't shut it down. They moved it from the public sector where we can get information to the private sector, and it continued. And not only continued, but it ramped up, because then there were no more guardrails. I mean, they were already breaking the law, experimenting on people that didn't give approval to be experimented on. So there are no more guardrails. Now they take it out to the public and use it on a mass scale. We're under mass psychosis in America right now. They're trying to kill us all. Wow, I'm not paying that for gas. Heck no, not when I can get it for $2.71. That's craziness. There are many different reasons. You could have a political assassination, have what they call a lone wolf. Well, imagine 330 million lone wolves in America, where a perfectly innocent person like me wakes up one day with voices in their head. I mean, you can look at Aaron Alexis, the Navy Yard shooter, perfectly sane, had top security clearance at every naval base in America. And then all of a sudden he starts making reports that the weapons they're using on that base at the Navy Yard, that they're using on him. He carved ELF, extra low frequency weapon, on his firearm. He was telling the world, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. They're trying to kill me. He was telling the world it's happening and no one would listen. So all he knew to do was to show up and try to take out the people that were using these weapons on him. This is happening to millions of people around the world. Let's just take America. In America, my targeting and the majority of targeted individuals that I spoke to, their targeting began between 2010 and 2012. Who was the president then? Barack Hussein Obama. Now, if you know anything about him, you should know that he's not an American citizen. He's not. His real name was Barry Sortano. The birth certificate that Donald Trump investigated, and it was found to be fraudulent. certificate, died in a mysterious plane crash, kind of like everybody that deals with Hillary Clinton. I came out when Facebook started. I was under the illusion that in America we have free speech. Well, boy, I was wrong, because the first thing I do is I start reading more and more. And when 9/11 happened, I knew it was a scam. I knew it was a con. I knew that men in caves did not sneak off to America to fly jets into buildings. For one thing, a jet don't take down a building. And especially a building falls, Building 7 falls, yet it was never touched. So they used that state of terror as a reason to have millions of warrants on innocent Americans like me with the FISA. And FISA under Ray, under Ray, who's FBI Director Ray, for Donald Trump and for Joe Biden, 280,000 fraudulent FISA warrants. 280,000 fraudulent warrants where they couldn't meet the determination of reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime. So what did they do? The judges just signed off on the warrants and said, okay, go experiment. So in the case of the most basic one that I could tell you about would be gun control. Sandy Hook was one. This kid who autistic, he's on these antidepressants. Well, we know that it says on the warning label for Prozac and all these antidepressants, suicidal thoughts, tendencies, suicidal ideations. There is some hallucinations from these medicines as well. That opens up the brain-blood barrier. So it's easier for those things to get in. So with Adam Lanza, what happens? Supposedly, he takes his mama's AR, kills her, runs up at his school and just shoots it up. I mean, but when you watch it live, as I was watching it live, there was a gunman in the woods. When the helicopter was above the car, they opened the trunk of the car, and there was the rifle sitting inside the car. People who talked to Adam Lanza that morning said, there's no way he could have done it. No way. And of course there's no witness left because he's dead. Adam Lanza's just dead. Did you know that Sandy Hook was shut down years before this happened? It was shut down. Not only that, as soon as it happened, they bulldozed the whole building to the ground. There's nothing left of it. Not only that, on December 26th, after this mass casualty event, every business, every home mortgage, every private property mortgage that had a lien on it, the debts were cleared. That video has since, and I shared that video on my channel where a guy went and got the records for the town and the county. And it showed that every single debt for land in that town was paid in full. They paid an entire town to shut up. What came of that? Like it was ready-made for Hollywood. As soon as it happened, you had the right coroner at the right time making all of these claims about this crazy kid with a gun. And then what? The machine started instantaneously. Calls for gun control, calls for gun control, calls for gun control. Of course, I don't remember if it was directly before that or directly after that when Barack Obama signed a bill into law, as the NDAA, that says that the government is allowed to lie to the people about anything to get their way. Are you listening? So, with one event, just that one event, and remember that Barack Obama lowered the standard for mass casualty events. He lowered it from 4 victims to 3. So that lets in thousands more shootings than when it was 4 people dying. It was thousands more that they're let in to be able to say, look, another mass casualty. Look, mass shootings has blown up. Well, when you go from 4 victims to 3 in 1 year, it looks like the gun problem in America is exorbitant. The same reason that they had the strictest gun control laws in Democrat cities. Why? Because they had the highest gun violence in those towns because good people can't protect themselves. When you remove those cities, then America's the top 5 safest country in the world with firearms. So that's just that one event. They tried to push gun control to disarm the American people. Fast forward to the Colorado shooting. When the Joker guy walks in, what was that with him? Started hearing voices. A kid going to college, smart as he can be. He's an introvert, which is the people they go after. Introverts, people that don't have many friends, don't talk to that many people, don't get out and about. Here's this introvert. He's on this medication, starts hearing voices, goes to the movie theater, dresses up like the Joker, and kills people. They go back to his home, and at his home, it's rigged up with booby traps. And there was notes everywhere saying that people were following him. People were out to get him. People were trying to kill him. He was hearing voices in his head. Now let's go all under Barack Obama. And the gun control narrative was still, boom, they kept, every time it would die down in the media, it boosted it back up again. Let's go again. The supposed Confederate flag shooting in South Carolina, where this kid, who is a loner, an introvert, supposedly walks up into a black church and starts shooting people. Well, what happens then? They start taking down statues. They start removing our heritage in America. Who else does that? Marxists do that. Communists do that. Communists always remove the past. Always. So it was a war on the Confederate flag. It was a war on George Washington. It was a war on Robert E. Lee. It was a war on the Confederate statues and flags. It was a war on everything that was American. And who was it? A guy that started hearing voices. Right? And then, first time that I can remember in American history, that Barack Obama gave millions of dollars to the victims of this church shooting. What? Why did he pay off the victims? Since when does the government pay victims of a mass casualty event? Well, what was he paying for? He was paying for their voices, whether to be heard or not be heard. It's simple. And let's go back to the Sandy Hook. I don't know if you know, but a few years after this supposed mass casualty event, they rubbed it in our face by showing all the children at the Super Bowl. Oh, these are the siblings of the victims of that mass casualty event. It wasn't the siblings. God, I guess it's cheaper here. I don't think $2.75. That's more than I'm paying. It wasn't the siblings. When you go back and look at the video, and what did they had to do? They had to go after Alex Jones about it. Why would they go after Alex Jones? Because he was the one trying to expose it. I'll be right back. So there's just a few examples of why this program's so effective. Let's just the mind control. That's just a little bit of the mind control part. They've shown, and you can see it, Confessions of a Gang Stalker on YouTube, if you can find it now, because it's been deleted many times. Every time they post it up, they put it up there. But they can control entire cities with frequencies. Entire cities using frequencies. So that's mass mind control on the public. Now let's switch up. Why the drones? Why the helicopters? Why the planes that follow me? They're perfecting their surveillance state. So they can follow me everywhere. How do they follow me everywhere? Do you really think there's a man, and some targeted individuals believe this, they think that there's a guy that's assigned their name and their social security number, and he sits at a computer all day long and controls the drones. They think that. No, there's not. This is AI driven. They are 50 to 100 years farther in technology than what they let us know. 50 years ahead than what they let us know. These drones are all controlled, so that's the surveillance state. That's how they surveil every single person, just like with shadow banning. It was done to me first to silence me. All these techniques were perfected on people like me. let's go to the character assassination. They took me down the exact same way that they did Alex Jones and Donald Trump. They just did it on a smaller level. They had to perfect every system, have all the right people in all the right places. And here's one. Why did Barack Obama lower the standards for aviation hiring? So the people that run the towers, the people that run the towers at airports, the people that work at the airports, he lowered all the standards. Why? Because then he can appoint or send people to these airports to control what's going on. So all it takes is one person at an airport saying, oh no, that drone's not following you. Oh no, that airplane's not following you. That's not happening in real life. They control everything. Everything they control. So think about all these, just that. And it always has to start, there's always got to be an experimentation phase to test the weaknesses. So they do it on somebody insignificant like me. And listen, every person is different, so every bit of torture works differently. So when they do it on a large scale, they can figure everything into the equation. And that's how they can predict the future. It isn't that they know the future. The future that they know is a roadmap. It's a script. They script everything. The Simpsons, Todd Groening, who writes The Simpsons, doesn't know the future. They tell him what to draw, and then they make it happen. I mean, many people have said we're literally in the Matrix, where the devil controls everything. Well, that's very, very believable. It's extremely believable, especially in the context we're working at nowadays with this surveillance state. And how do I end up on the list? This is the question that we cannot know unless it is so very simple that it's nothing more than our social security number pops up and you're it. Is it a random drawing? Or is it based on our DNA? Or do we go back to the medieval times where the king says, I want you to kill all his family members. From here into infinity, kill every person with his bloodline. Could it be that? Or is it based on our family history? Because a lot of people that are targeted individuals are either whistleblowers, they speak out too much, or they had family members that did something that shook the apple cart. There's a million different reasons to be put on the list, but it could be as random because the randomness of the appointments of this program is why it is so denied. That's why people fight against somebody. What do you have in common with the other people? Nothing. When you don't have a random selection of people, it's harder to equate it to being real. But I'll guarantee you this, folks. These planes and drones that are following me are not my imagination. I didn't dream it up. I just don't film every single plane that's over my head all the time. No. I intentionally stopped filming 99% of the planes and drones. I just stopped because what's the point? If you don't get it by now, then the cognitive dissonance, because guess what? When you talk like me, the CIA made the term up to make you say, nope, ain't listening. He's a conspiracy theorist. Why do you think they vilified Alex Jones so much? Because he helped expose this program. Jesse Ventura, look at Jesse Ventura today compared to Jesse Ventura 30 years ago. Do you think he would have backed Kamala Harris 30 years ago? No. He exposed too much, and they had to silence him. So now, Jesse Ventura, what happened? They hit him with Parkinson's. You mean they can manufacture Parkinson's? Yes. They can mimic any disease on the planet. They can mimic it. They can make you have Parkinson's. With the weapons they have, they can hit any part of the brain. They can implant thoughts. They can remove thoughts. They can change thoughts. They can make an arm not work, an arm work. They can create paralysis. Once you know how to control the mind and every part of the mind, You can control we are nothing but cyborgs. We are the first robots, because what happens? The batteries in us, the light that God puts in us, and when you see the egg and the sperm, when they meet, there's an explosion of light. That is what? That is energy being put into the egg. We are nothing but cyborgs. Electrical pulses control our entire body. When they control the mind, which controls the pulses, then they can control the body. We're walking robots, and they know how to control us. It's really not hard to think about it. Look at that barge going up, hauling all that debris. They're still trying to clean up the rivers in North Carolina. It's still destroyed. Everything's destroyed. But yes, so they vilify people like me, and then they have a million other channels attack. Oh, you're just crazy. When the crazy doesn't work, then they do what? Then they shadow ban me where nobody hears me. My channel has went from 685 to 687. Back down to 684, back to 686. Non-stop. They will not let me grow. They're not going to let me. Every time I tried, my channel got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they'd sit the attack dogs on me. They would go and manipulate those people to attack me. And a lot of them are just, they don't have the moral conscience it takes to be a cockroach. Everything they've done to me, I'm watching it happen in real time. This is how I can predict the future, because it's been done to me before. The technology they have now is so far advanced, you would have no clue. And just like I could tell you right now, they have DUMBs. What are DUMBs? Deep underground military bases. And you'd go, there ain't no military bases underground. Well, how is it that I know that? You can Google it right now, and they have admitted it, but you still deny it's happening. What do I got to gain? I lose more by being on YouTube, because being on YouTube has put a bigger target on my back, and half the people in the world think I'm insane. Half the people that used to love me are scared to death of me now because they think I'm crazy. So the program tightens up its leash, its hold on me even more, because everyone is alienated from me because they're scared of me, or they're scared they're going to catch this program like the flu. And the victims of this are harmed the most, because I'm all alone, and all I'm trying to do is warn people, and no one will listen. No one. So you can pick your poison on what you want to believe. Just ask yourself this: what's my motive? And how is it that there are 1,000 other people online that sound just like me, that says their lives were perfectly normal, and then they woke up and the world was upside down? Seriously. Everyone's lives were perfectly normal with the regular stresses of life, and they wake up and everyone's against them. Their cars are breaking down right and left. It's like bad luck. It's like they broke 1,000,000 mirrors all at one time. Hearing voices, seeing things that are not there, just literally going crazy overnight. And the only thing, and not the only thing, but the main reason I know is because I have been in some of the most traumatic situations. So I'm hardened. I'm hardened to this. And that ain't to say that they've had me hang myself. I was hanging on a rope, dead. And but for the grace of God, I'm still here. What's the best way to kill somebody and get away with it? Have an innocent person do it, and then have them kill themselves. You know how many times that they tried to prompt me to hurt people? I mean, I told you a situation when I was homeless and I went to live with my Pop, who's my best friend. I just called him Pop. And I'm hearing voices in the wall of the other roommate, who was a very bad man. Been to prison for a long time for raping and attempting to kill his wife and then burning his house down. This is a very dangerous man. And I heard his voice through the wall saying, calling law enforcement saying, yeah, he's trying to kill me. I'm going to kill him first. I'm going to kill him first before he kills me. So it would prompt me to go in there and hurt him. So when law enforcement, and this is the thing, when law enforcement in Longview, North Carolina says, oh, you're a very dangerous and violent man, why do you think that? Why would you think that? I haven't been convicted of that. Well, people can be charged all the time but not convicted. No, I'm not a violent man. It's because they've read the same IFAC. IFAC is a terrorist watch list. And when my friend sent me the IFAC on me, it has me associated with terrorist groups in the Middle East. Do you guys think I'm associated with a Muslim terrorist? No. Ted Kennedy was on a terrorist watch list. Every time he tried to get on a plane and fly, it was a big to-do. Tulsi Gabbard right now is on a watch list called Silent Skies. Why? Because she stood up against the government. Now she's a Russian agent. She's on a watch list too. The only difference between me and all these other people like Donald Trump and Alex Jones and Tulsi Gabbard is I'm nobody. But think about the latest nobody. Who's the latest nobody? Thomas Crooks. Isn't that a name? Crooks? Thomas Crooks, who attempted to kill the president? So they let him get the shot off first and then kill him? And then his kids got all these hidden bank accounts overseas. They showed him going back and forth to the FBI 4, 5, 6 different times. But they killed him. Oh, it's over. It's just over. It never happened. No. Nothing to see here. The right person at the right place at the right time. So think about it. Where would we be in America right now if Donald Trump would have been taken out? I can guarantee you we would literally be in World War III, nuclear war, and we would have been wiped off the map. Not a doubt in my mind. When the powers that be control everything, the only thing you have left is Jesus Christ. That's all you got left is God above. So the assassination attempt on me is continuing. They will kill me, whether it be a cop in my driveway doing it or attempt to get me to kill myself, but that ain't gonna work no more. Now, I know that they can turn this weapon up on me, and I know they can make it bad. They can make it a lot worse. But I had to train myself not to hear, not to look, not to see, not to feel, because they can control all your senses. I've had to tell you, I had to desensitize myself, because if I start listening to the mumbling, then I hear them speaking. And the more you try to hear it, your brain changes and goes into gotta hear it mode. It's just like when your spouse is cheating on you. What do? You're like a freaking crackhead trying to get that last hit. You're in her drawers, you're in her phone, and you're in the pocketbook. And where did she hide it? No, it's the biggest rush in the world trying to find a cheating spouse. The same with this program. The more you listen for it, the more paranoid you become. And then everyone becomes your enemy. That's why I try to tell people, stop listening, stop looking, stop trying to find it, stop investigating online, because the more you talk about it, the more susceptible you are to the weapon systems they're using on you. I'm not a terrorist, but I'm on this watch list. I didn't do anything. They took away my children. They took away my home. They took away they robbed me of everything. And the last thing they can try to take is my freedom. See, again, they disarmed me when I was young, because I've been in this program my entire life. One grandpa was a Purple Heart veteran, and my other grandpa went AWOL because he didn't want to kill people. He didn't want to fight a war. So they tortured him for months in a military prison. So was it payback for what they did to my grandpa? What my grandpa did for not wanting to fight? Or did they have the perfect mix of two DNA the one guy that doesn't want to fight and the other guy that wants to fight. Because I'm the combination of my mother and my father. And the majority of this program is DNA based. Once they have your DNA, that's why the COVID thing was so well thought out. That's why the plasma banks are so well thought out, because that's how they get your DNA. Every prisoner, everybody gets arrested now, they take your picture and they take your blood. Did you know that? When you get arrested now, they take your blood and put your DNA on file. Oh, well, we're doing it to solve any rape cases or murder cases we might have on the books. No, they're doing it to get your resident frequency, because your resident frequency is no different. It is the exact same thing as me tuning the radio. No different than me tuning a radio. That's reasons why, and that's not even all of them. That's just some of the reasons why I'm a targeted individual. God bless.